Okay, this video I'm talking to my Christian brothers and sisters here. Specifically my generation. So like if you were born mid 80s, late 80s, or you're roughly a teenager, or you were part of the WWJD, What Would Jesus Do crowd around 97 to 2000, I'm talking to you, okay? About a couple months ago, I need to prelude. I need to preface this with this situational story. And Aaron and I, Aaron co-writer on the Gen XY, have talked about this, quite a few times. So I'm gonna do a video on it, at least my own personal video on it. Aaron invited me to his church a couple weeks back, actually a couple months back, and I wasn't able to make it due to my own obligations, but I was finally able to go a couple weeks ago, and I went to this thing that they have at his church called 20s. And 20s is where 20 to 29-year-olds, obviously 20s, get together and they study the Bible and they talk about God and do all this other stuff, right? Well, when I went in, everyone was nice, everyone was cordial, there was no, nothing wrong with that. But I noticed that there was the same era and same outlook on God and people's body language and stuff like that we had when we were 12 or 13 years old. I mean, and this isn't just at Aaron's church either. I've seen this amongst the few people at my church who are my age. I've seen this at other churches that I've visited, just a couple 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm wondering, why haven't we moved on past that era of spirituality and understanding? It's like, guys, we have to grow up. I know it's comfortable. I know you like doing it. I know it's easier, but it's time to be an adult now, okay? You're pushing 30, or you are 30, or you're just above 30. We can't keep acting like we're about to be teenagers or we're new teenagers, and in a couple years we'll get to give our driver's license. No, we gotta stop that. We're adults. Let's act like adults. Let's behave like adults, and let's carry ourselves like adults. And the reason why I'm doing this video is just because now it's translating into our lives in the sense of now it's destructive, and this is what I mean by it's destructive. There is no reason I should be seeing some guys single and unmarried, okay? Especially at this point in time. And it's prolonged adolescence. That's what it is. Everyone wants to sit here and mask it in, oh, well, I just have to get this together, or when the timing's right, and, all this other stuff that I'm going to go into more detail here in a minute. But let's stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. This is stupid. We're not children. What are we waiting for? I mean, we're already 30-ish. What miracle are you waiting for? Okay, we aren't getting married, we aren't having families, and everyone wants to just kind of, oh well, it'll happen when it happens. And it's so infuriating. And I know what it comes from. This is what it comes from. It comes from us trying to incorporate the world into our religion versus sticking by what our religion says and ignoring the world. And the biggest proponent of this is the feminism. I mean, ladies, I know it sounds great and it makes you feel good, but you got to drop the feminism. You have got to drop it. It is destructive. It is meant to be destructive. I mean, I point you to the Aaron Russo video on YouTube. You can go right on. You can YouTube it right now. Go Aaron Russo, Nick Rockefeller feminism conversation, or feminism was meant to destroy the family. I mean, we're not about feelings here. We're talking about what are the actual results that this stuff produces. Okay. Now I'm going to go into it. Feminism. We have women who want to be off on their own, have their own job, have their own house, have their own food, have their own money, have their own everything. Okay, that sounds great. But here's the thing. When you want to get with a man, if you already have everything that a man has, why do you need a man? You're essentially just getting a roommate at that point. Okay? And if you get with a man, you're essentially just his roommate. Like you have everything he has. So why should he take care of you? Why should he put his life on the line in case something happens? Yeah, it's like, oh, well, because you're a woman, that's stupid. Because remember, feminism teaches equality, which means you're equal. Therefore, we don't have to do anything. You start to see some of the problems that come with that. Okay, now let's go on further down the line. Let's just say you do get married and you do have children. And again, this is just one little facet, but if we have women raising boys in a feminine way, what are they going to act like? Look around. Look around. Men are acting like children, don't they? Yeah. We're acting like little girls. Meaning your average Christian guy. Christian guys are soft, and everything's candy and rainbows and roses. And it's like, no, that's not reality. That is not the world. Not, yeah. I can't, like, I understand the whole peace and love and all that stuff, but at the same time, there's a time to be ruthless. There's a time to, okay, get the mean look on your face and get to work. And men aren't acting like that. Men aren't equipped to lead and protect their families anymore. And now we have, our generation who, we were raised sort of on the shift into this, but we're carrying it on and it's destructive. Now, we're starting a unstoppable cycle of feminizing men, over feminizing women. And here, let me back up. Here's the bad part about happens when you feminize men, is that men don't stand up, men don't fight. Therefore, the women have to do it. And as with work that I've alluded to in my other videos, women don't really do work. Actually, women don't do work at the collective level, and therefore they're easily manipulated and taken over. You don't believe me? Look at every major dictator who's ever taken over a society and been destructive. They all say it in their own different words, but take over the women. I think Hitler is the one who's attributed with the quote, "Go after the women, then you'll have the children, thus follow the men." And that's exactly what Satan is doing right now. He's got the women on the feminism program. The children are being raised under the feminized world, and thus follow the men. And by thus follow the men, it's the boys grow up to be men, and then now you have them too. And that's where we're at. And just look at it. Like, we're Christians. We're supposed to be the shining light of the world, and look at this stuff that we're on. How can we sit here and preach the Word of God and preach godly principles when we're really not following them? You got, women telling men what to do, men acquiescing, and then when their sons grow up and act like little girls, then everybody's looking at each other like, well, what happened? And unfortunately, again, this is, boomer / early Gen Xer generational thinking and stupidity, but nonetheless, we have to fix it. They're not going to fix it. It's too late. We're adults. Again, we're pushing 30, and unfortunately, this is the BS our generation's on, and we have the dumb, stupid, ignorant, whatever you want to call them, youth pastors to thank for it. The whole, everything's candy and rainbows. If anything's wrong, pray on it. And I don't mean that in the sense of prayer doesn't work or prayer doesn't mean anything like that. What I mean is, it's the things, it's stupid stuff. Like, and I never thought that I would be hearing this as a 28-year-old man, but there are some people who are still on the, I need to pray to the Lord to see if I can go check the mail, or if I should check the mail, or I'm hungry, let me ask God if I should make ramen noodles or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich as a snack. Or it's just like, what? No, just eat. Just go get the mail. Like, you don't have to ask God for every little thing. Like mundane, day-to-day, basic survival stuff, you don't need to ask God for that. Like, He gave you a brain for a reason. We are not complete, subordinate, like we can't function without, some sort of cognitive ability, and it's just so stupid. I can't believe that we got grown 30-year-old people on this mess, but or almost 30-year-old people on this mess, however you want to slice the coin. But let me go into some more specifics here. We have men who, again, are in this prolonged adolescent stage, and I call it the I like to play with my friends mentality. Okay? And again, this goes back to the stupid teaching that we listen to youth pastors about of, enjoy your youth, go out and have fun. What's the other one? Don't look at women sexually because that's sinful. When no, the Bible says lustfully, which lust and saying a woman's attractive are two different things, and that needs to be addressed. But it's like, so we have feminism telling men to act like girls. We have youth pastors telling more such men to act like girls, and I guess you say early teenage boys or young boys to act like girls. And once these boys grow to become men, then we're telling women, oh, get yourself a nice, good Christian boy who has good morals. And you look at their selection of boys, or men, I guess you could say, and no wonder they're on the feminism. It's just like, wait a minute, I have to have, I don't know, just some stereotypical name. Sorry, alarm going off there. And it's like, you expect a woman to sit there and select that as a mate? You know what I mean? You really expect a woman to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to date this guy or marry this guy, and he acts as feminine as I do. Like, really? And just the immaturity of men now, and the still playing video games, and there's nothing wrong with video games. I'm not down to video games, but we've got to move on. Like I said, I'm 28. I still play Grand Theft Auto, but you got to prioritize your life. And I know everybody just wants to go to work, come home and relax and veg out, and then do the same thing tomorrow. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to be a man. You have to step up. You have to lead your family. You have to, make good business decisions. You have to go out and actually participate in the society. You are a man. You can't just go through the motions and expect the best thing to happen. I know the boomers taught us that because that's what they did, but they came from a society where they set that up to happen. But that's not reality, and that's not what we're on today, and we're not in that situation. A lot of stuff has happened since we were kids, so we can't be on that, and it's just like, man, you've got to let the immaturity go. Like, you have to be an adult now. It's time to grow up. All right. All right. Now, women. Good heavens. For you guys to be on the feminism like you are, and to sit there and, co-sign and high-five each other as to how smart you are and independent you are and how you're just killing it out there in the game, you guys make some dumb decisions. I mean, dumb decisions. And your outlook on life is horrible. I mean, you're just as immature as the men. Seriously. And the main thing I want to speak on is not only the feminism, that it clearly is destructive. You're clearly unhappy. Like, I mean, what was it? They're saying like the women have been the unhappiest they've been in like 40 or 50 years. Based on like, do they feel fulfilled in life? Are they doing what it is that they want to do? Just go down the checklist, and like the no's are, just off the wall. It's just like there's so many of them. It's just over the top. And it's like, okay, so if you work a job and you're tired all the time and you're irritable, then you should probably not do that. I mean, that's kind of a simple solution there. And you may say, oh, well, I have to do this, I have to do that, and I need to work on my career, I have to have my degree. No, you don't. I mean, who are you trying to impress? Oh, you're trying to impress men? Okay, let me just give you the short answer. We don't care. Real men don't care about your degree. We don't care about how much money you make. We don't care about what house you live in. We don't care about what kind of car you drive. unless we want to work on your car, but that's beside the point. We don't care about that. What men care about is, are you attractive? Do you make me smile? Are you going to be a good mother for my children? That's what we care about, you know. And then of course there's other stuff that goes along with that, like how, you know, can you cook? Can you do laundry? Can you can you do stuff that we can't do? Okay, if you're a woman and you can do all the stuff that a man can do by himself, or is supposed to do by himself, what is his motivation for even being with you? Oh, because you're fun to be around? Well, we have other guy friends and other people who are fun to be around. Like, you have to be special. You know, like, we don't care about your degrees. We don't care about how much money you make. Like, men only care about that in comparison to other men so we can get the hot chick. Like, that is literally what that's for. It's so we can have something to go to a girl with and say, this is why I'm better than the guy who's currently talking to you. That is what that is for. It has nothing to do with anything else. Okay? And another thing I just want to address before I go into the BS that both men and women are on is, women, will you stop? Will you please stop with the whole Jesus is my boyfriend, God will drop me the perfect spouse from the air kind of, you know, he will materialize from the ground like Adam did, and the Lord will breathe, you know, life into his nostrils, and then he shall put a ring on my finger. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Get that out of your head. Please let that go. You know, men are flawed creatures, as you well know, and there is no perfect man. You know, Christian Grey is not just going to come out of, you know, just out of nowhere and whisper into your ear that he wants to take you out, and then he's going to whisk you away in his limousine to take you to the take you to the airport to get in his private helicopter and then fly you around the city. Like, no, there's a reason why that's in a book and television, and it's called fantasy. That's not real. That's not going to happen. Just, you know, get off your high horse. You're not special. As I said in one of my other videos, you know, you are a townsperson. You are not a noblewoman, and you are not of royalty. Stop thinking that you're Cinderella, and if you just keep scrubbing the floor, that eventually, you know, dancing mice and your fairy godmother are going to come out, and you're going to go to the ball, and the prince is going to fall in love with you. Stop. That was a Disney movie, and it was a movie for a reason. Okay? And here's something else that I need you women to stop. And you know, and men are getting on this too. And again, men are acting like women. So women are leading the charge down the path of stupidity. Can we stop with the I have to be perfect before I get married? Can we stop that? That is literally insane. Okay? What does the Bible say? It says all men fall short of the glory of God. And that means men like mankind, not men like males. You're not going to be perfect before you get married. Okay? As a matter of fact, how about this? Name 2 people, humans, who got married and both of them were completely sinless. They had worked out all of their sins. They had, you know, they became 2 perfect beings and they got married. Name a couple who that's happened to. Exactly. There isn't one. So can we please stop with the I just need to focus on the Lord and I need to focus on this. Like, yeah, you do need to focus on that, but also know that you're not getting any younger. There is a time and a season for everything. And 50 is not the season that you should get married and try to have kids. And it's like, no. Like let that go. Okay? If you really want to look at the whole aspect in the grand scheme of history, we're really supposed to get married and have kids in our mid-teens. Like that's why ancient cultures, which are a hell of a lot smarter than us, if you really look at some of the infrastructure and the stuff that they had going on, like if you look deeply into it, like I understand now why, you know, men were adults at 15 and 16 years old and women were women at 15 and 16 years old. You know, or adult women were 15, 16 years old. So yes, because they weren't kept in, you know, prolonged adolescence. You know, they weren't kept and treated like children and raised to be like children, 10 years after they were technically children. Like that's our modern day culture that says, oh, go out, get a job, which really all that stuff is just to make someone else rich. If you really look at the infrastructure and the business model that everything's on, notice your super wealthy people don't really work a lick in their life, but yet here everyone else is slaving away for their company. While they go off and, to tropical paradises and skiing in the mountains and everything else, while we have to ask for a week off. It's like, and it's really ridiculous. But yeah, we ladies, get off of you have to be perfect. Like, you're not going to be perfect, and you're not going to marry a perfect guy. And if you meet the perfect guy, he's not going to marry you. And if you're the perfect woman, you're not going to marry a non-perfect guy. Get off of that, please. Get off of that. And I say all of this to my Christian brothers and sisters because we are at war. Again, we are on a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week war, and Satan's not pulling any punches. And we are literally dying off because everyone's on this. I'll get married later. I'll have a family later. I need to work on my job and career. Which, again, so many super holy rollers want to run around and quote the Bible every so often. All right, where in the Bible does it say that you should, elevate your job and your career and your degrees above your children and family? I mean, that goes for men and women. I mean, men, where does it say that you have to have some huge house and fancy car and all this money, but for you to have a family and please the Lord? Where does it say that? It doesn't. That's stuff that you get to attract women. Okay, like that's that's material. That's temporary. That's worldly. That doesn't matter. And you may say, okay, well, but I want the hottest chick, so I want the most stuff like the hottest chick. Okay, well, beauty fades. And again, how do you look? Are you fat and disgusting and don't work out and lazy? So why do you deserve a supermodel? You're like, okay, well, I don't want a supermodel. Okay, I guarantee a girl that you find attractive is probably going to be more attractive than you, relatively speaking. Okay, ladies, exact same way. Are you fat and out of shape and don't put on makeup and don't make yourself look presentable? Okay, then why do you deserve a male model? See, like this goes both ways. Like you just can't. You have to keep reality in perspective. And men and women are too much on this Disney outlook of stuff, and it's destroying us. It is literally destroying us. I mean, how do we expect to glorify God, and how do we expect to put more godly people out there in the world if the godly people are not reproducing godly people? And I know some of you who try to analyze stuff will probably sit here and say, well, if we spread the word of God, if you spread the word of God to other adults who've lived their entire lives in sin and they're just now coming to God, they've already formed habits that are really hard to break, so they're going to be focusing on that. They're a lot less spiritually mature than the rest of us. You know what I mean? So we have to raise people in Christianity. We just can't, have you heard about Jesus Christ? Here's the Bible. Quote a couple of scriptures, walk away, and then give ourselves a round of applause and pat ourselves on the back and talk about what a great job we did for God, and then go back and do it all over again. It's like, no. We have to get married. We have to have kids. We have to have a family structure in place so that when people have questions, we can go, oh, this is our family. This is how we do it. This is why we do it this way. We have to be an example. We have to be an example. Like that's why nobody's really following Christianity. Well, they will once a lot of this economic stuff happens, but that's why no one really is on with the Christians. This is because, we say one thing but do another. Like we sit here and say that, a woman should be submissive to her husband, and thus saith the Lord. But then when a man sits here and says, "Hey, honey, can you fix dinner tonight?" It's like, no, well, you can fix it, and it's just like, there you go, right there. You've already counteracted yourself. And if you think that the skeptics and the unbelievers aren't looking at that, oh, they are watching like a hawk. They are watching every single move that we make, because they are dying to either A, shut us down and discredit us as a legitimate religion that we profess that it is, and by that meaning the one true religion of the true living God, and the other people who are looking at us are those who are on the cusp, saying, okay, I've heard about this Christianity and some things have been going on in my life, so I want to see how does this work? Show me how this works. And then if we sit here counteracting it, it's like we're doing a heck of a lot more damage than we are helping anybody. You know what I mean? And it's like, we got to stop. We have got to stop. You know, I know it's easy to get caught up in the glitz and the glamour and the, you know, getting all this stuff so you get the hot chick, you know, having all these career things that you can go to a guy with who doesn't care, mind you, again, about saying that you're a good woman because you have all this other stuff. And it's like, no, it's not going to happen. You know, me and Aaron from the Gen XY need to, we need to sit down and both do a video on this, because he has a lot more of the stuff to say. But I'm just going to wrap this video up saying, you know, we have got to get out of our own way here. And we've got to stop trying to be, you know, ladies, you've got to stop trying to be I won't say in your face feminist. You got to stop trying to be just a feminist and then thinking that you're going to be a woman of the Lord. Like that is not possible. That is literally oil and water. God is water. Feminism is oil. The two shall not mix, and they do not mix. Men, you've got to stop trying to be the guy who knows all the sports statistics, the guy who knows about all the video games and downloadable content, and, you know, just worrying about stuff that does not matter. You know, all of that, you know, all of those super material possessions, like, yes, you want to provide your family with a nice place to live in and a clean environment and a loving family structure. Yes, and you should want to live in a good neighborhood. But living in a good neighborhood and providing material possessions for your family at the sacrifice of the relationship of your kids and your wife is completely moronic. You know, it's just like we've got to sit down and have an honest discussion about what we are on right now. Like, this is complete lunacy. It's complete lunacy. And it has to be fixed, because Satan's reproducing his army at alarming rates, and we're over here talking about, boys are gross and I can't look at a woman sexually. And it's like, are you serious? Are you serious? You're really going to sit here and glorify the kingdom of God by not getting married and not making kids and not having godly families? That's your plan? That is okay. All right. Yeah. And then we look around and so on, they're like, well, why is the world just falling apart? It's like, because the good people are doing the same stuff the bad people are doing. That's why the world's falling apart. Like I look around and, people are like, how do we stop this? And I'm like, well, we got to get off the BS that we were on in church. That's what we got to get off of. And I'm not saying church is bad. Church is great. But it's what the church does. Not what the church says, what the church does. So we've got to stop this. But anyway, I got to go. That's my video for now. John from the Gen XY.